This is gonna be a long one, so I got comfortable, no makeup today. So it has come to my attention that two people that I used to be friends with are angry. So angry that they are like spreading lies and gossip about me on the internet and yada yada yada. I'm bringing this up because some people have said that they felt angered by it and very passionately defensive because of it. And at this point, I was really angry about it originally, for those of y'all that were around for that Twitter rant and that Instagram anger. I was mad about it, not because that they were lying on me, because I've been lied on before, but because of the people that they are. These were two of the most toxic friendships I've ever been in, like in my life. And it's just like, why are you mad? I didn't understand. Man, I was trying to not be like super sarcastic in this video, because I'm almost positive that one, if not both of these people at some point will see this video. And with that in mind, that's why I decided to still make the video. I know I'm rambling right now and this isn't the actual story time. And for those of you that are like, get to the point, like, like, sorry. But anyway, I just wanted to take a minute to actually talk about why I decided to go about making this story time. One is because I talk about my experiences. I learned a lot from these two friendships, learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about others. And I just wanted to spread that knowledge, because I know recently I've had more people coming up to me like in my DMs and like asking me like, how do I build these really good friendships that I seem to have, right? Because I'm always talking about how much I love my friends and how much I care about my friends, and they're like, how did you build these friendships, you know? I wanted to assure some people that I've had some terrible ones too. You'll probably see elements of yourself in my part of this story. You might see elements of yourself in the other person, because I'm only talking about one of them today because I don't have time for the other one, because that one's another chunk of information that this one's already going to be long enough is what I'm getting at. Two, to give closure to these people, to this person more so, just one person today. You seem to be under some misinformation, or you just in denial about why we're not friends, because this person seems to think that I stopped being friends with them because I met Koreans, which is so insulting, because yeah, we're gonna completely ignore all the terrible things you did and it's just Kendall because she glowed up and got some Korean friends. Like, no honey. Again, sorry, trying to be a little bit less sarcastic, because I am aware that this person is watching this video, or at some point may watch this video. But yeah, to provide you with some information, because apparently you still confused. And three, because I didn't like the idea that if I decided to not do this story time, it would be another situation in which toxic people stop me from doing what I should and what I want to do. And I'm just not cool with that. So that's why I'm making this story time. But yeah, from what I understand, the complaint that they had is that people from college follow my Instagram, and I know that. And the sheer fact that I would talk about how crappy they were was just a low blow. And I'm like, stop being crappy. Like, the thing is, you have to lie to make me into this horrible person, okay? I can tell the truth. But if you are like running into any issues, like you're losing friends because of my story, that says more about you, because, right, they're your friends, right? They should believe you, right? But if they're believing me, then there's some truth that they hear in it. Like, there's some truth in that. And if they didn't know who you were, they still won't know who you are. I don't get the problem, but anyway. So with all that said, it's time for everyone's favorite story time. So this is the Chronicles of Karen. I originally thought of making this into several videos because it's just so much information, and I've decided I'll just skim out the little like weird things that would happen between us, hopefully compress it into a shorter video so that you get the main points, you get the gist of why we're no longer friends, okay? I met Karen in high school, actually. We went to high school. For those of you in the Detroit area that were asking me what school I went to Renaissance. Renaissance High School was basically like a high school where all the kind of weird black kids, weird/smart black kids went in the Detroit area, and somewhere around like 40% of my senior class ended up going to the University of Michigan. And so because of that, I went to college with a set of people I already knew, and that was nice. That really helped that like transitional period. It was nice to have that kind of like safety net, someone to hang out with, have dinner with, and whatnot. And through that, we ended up forming kind of like a little group. There was Karen, and a few other people, but I'm just gonna name Karen and Maya because they're the only people that kind of matter through this entire story. This is not either of their real names. If you know their real names, I will delete and block you if you comment in the comment section. Sorry to get so like serious about it, but the story isn't meant to target her, of just my experiences and how terrible some of my friendships have been. So anyway, Karen and Maya, from what I understand, they were closer to each other than I was to either of them before coming to college, but we ended up forming a group. We got along well for the most part. There were some situations where I felt like she was uncomfortable with me being friends with Maya, which didn't make sense to me. But that eventually falls at the wayside, and she starts to enjoy the idea that we're all like a group, which should have been your first thought in the first place. I don't understand when people feel uncomfortable when their friends become friends with other friends. You know what I mean? Because like, isn't that the point? Like, you want us all to be like a happy friendship group? I don't know. Basically, friendships in her mind were a semi-monogamous relationships. It was very, very strange to me. But anyway, we all got along pretty well for the first year or so. Like, we hung out all the time, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that we had some super deep friendship. You know what I mean? It was like we hung out a lot. It felt strange that she felt so possessive over the friendship, considering we never really had that deep of conversations. We were just around each other a lot. I'm not gonna minimalize how much I hung out with them. I hung out with them basically every day, like every day. I'm not gonna say that we didn't hang out and stuff, because we definitely did. And at this point, we just basically occupied each other's time. So sophomore year comes around, and that's when things get a little bit more complicated. As I've said before, sophomore year and junior year was the years that a lot of crap happened. Just a lot, you know, finding good friendships, weeding out guys, weeding out majors and classes and who I wanted to work with, and job prospects and all that stuff. It was just a lot going on, and so it does not shock me in hindsight that this is when I figured that I needed to drop this friendship and end this friendship. And this is when Karen and Maya move in together. They end up being roommates in an apartment. And Maya was always out doing stuff for her major, so she didn't really hang around Karen all that much, even though they lived together. So Karen tended to hang out with me a lot, which was fine in the beginning. So first semester sophomore year, that was when we picked our majors. I picked international studies, economics, politics, and development, and my second major was Korean studies, Korean language and culture, just to be specific. She picked architecture. Architecture is a very like intense major, but she seemed to really want it, so she went into architecture, and I was like, yeah, go for it. You know, you seem very intense. She was a very intense person. So I was like, maybe this would be a good fit for you. Also around this time, I started realizing, well, I'm a Korean major. It would probably behoove me to start joining more like extracurriculars that have to do with international stuff and also have to do with Korea. I felt like if I do Korean related clubs, that I kind of killed two birds with one stone, you know, because I was doing an international studies major and a Korean studies major. So it's just like, meh. During this time, I ended up joining hella organizations. A Korean focused debate club, like we talked about Korean issues. I ended up joining like a North Korean philanthropic type thing. I ended up joining some other stuff along the way. And I thought it was very, very great because I got all of these great like insights that I wouldn't think to look up about Korea. So I think that was really, really great for me because it actually helped me in all my Korean classes, because people were like, why do you know that? I'm like, well, I'm in the organization about whatever. And Karen ended up joining these things with me. Karen had been like a K-pop fan, you know, vaguely interested in Korean related stuff. She ended up taking Korean, I believe, Korean language that year. So she was also interested in that. So I was like, okay, so we can join these things together, I guess. So like I said, we joined all these organizations, several. In one of these organizations, she ended up getting a crush on one of the guys, and this dude was weird, bro. Side note, this dude was weird as hell. He was, oh my god, he was this really, really tall, broad, ominous figure. He was just scary. It was kind of like Noen Wonje from Show Me the Money 6. He was just dark and ominous. Like, he might have been nice, but he also said some like things sometimes, so I'm like, he was a Tekken villain. He looked like one of the Kazamas, scary as hell. And she was like, he just seems so misunderstood and like he just seems quiet. And I'm like, no, that dude has ankles in his refrigerator, bruh. That dude is scary. But she liked him. And this was around the time that I started to realize that this girl had obsessive tendencies. And there's nothing wrong with like lurking someone's page to get to see what they're into because you have a crush on them. This is pretty normal. But she was intense. So he was like an upperclassman. And so to impress him, she worked really, really hard for this organization. And I was in the organization, so I was like, I might as well work really hard. But she was working really, really hard to impress this guy so that he would like her. He didn't notice that she was working really hard. He just, I guess, appreciated that someone was doing their job. So when she started liking this guy was when she started getting very, very weird. Like very, very weird. Because she wanted to prove herself to this guy who was not paying attention to her at all. Because he had his own problems he was dealing with. And I'm feeling like, girl, he don't want you. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Because this dude is giving me kind of like serial killer vibes. It got to the point that she was trying to impress him by trying to have like more of a social media presence, if that makes sense. That sounds stupid. I remember distinctly on her birthday, she took my iPad, took a selfie with herself on my iPad. I was in the background. I had no idea that this picture was being taken. She took the picture. She sent it to the guy and was like, hey, or something like that. And or like, it's my birthday, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, happy birthday. End of conversation. She also took that picture and put it on my Instagram and put something like, oh my God, happy birthday to my best friend, blah, 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 blah. I thought it was so strange. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever because one, I don't do that. If you notice, I don't do that because I'm more of a person like if I want to say happy birthday to you or say, hey, I love you so much and blah, 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 I'll do it straight to you. You know what I mean? And we were in the same room. So I'd already told her happy birthday. Like, hey, let's hang out. Let's do something. You know what I mean? So it was just so strange to me. So I deleted it. I was like, what are you doing? Why are you putting stuff on my page? And she was like, well, I want likes too. Like something like that. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm deleting this. Also around this time, I had a crush on literally everybody. It was kind of disgusting. I didn't date anyone. I didn't date anyone basically through the entirety of, I've never really dated anybody, actually, to be honest with you. I didn't date anybody through the entirety of college. But I just had hella crushes. Why? Because it made me want to go to class. Otherwise, I just had no motivation to go. So it was nice having like, ooh, I got one here, I got one in this class, I got one in that class, I got one in the other. I had them everywhere and I gave him little nicknames, right? I had shoulders because he had nice shoulders. I had traps because them traps were good. I had thighs. One person I called was Backup Bay. I called him Backup Bay because he wasn't that great, but like if everything else failed, he's worthless. And around when Karen was becoming more and more aware that this guy did not like her back, I remember distinctly I was talking to Backup Bay and she was just like, you get to talk to your guy, why can't I talk to mine? I'm like, ain't nobody stopping you from talking to yours. And then there's like silence and she was like, I think he likes you back. And I was like, yeah, I could see that. I think he likes me back. And I remember I was in her apartment and I was going to get tea. And as I'm like pouring the tea, she's like, well, if you don't want him, can I have him? What? And my response was, no. I was saying no for a few reasons. One, because literally out of your mouth, you just admitted to me that the guy that I have some interest in may like me back. And you still say in the same breath, can I have him? Like he's not a person with like a will or like a thought process about anything. It's just like, yeah, can I have him? All I could say was like, no. But in the back of my head, I'm like, this hoe is crazy. Who says that? One, it's a guy that I have prospects in. Not even that. One that may have prospects in me. He's a human being. If he wanted you, he can talk to you. He has no interest in you. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. And I just thought that was real weird. So the semester's coming to an end, right? And Karen's getting more and more obsessed with this guy. And she just gets to the point that she's like, I have to tell him. I have to tell him that I like him. I need him to know. He must know that I like him. And I'm like, I think that's a bad idea for a lot of reasons, because if he likes you back, he a psycho. I don't think that's good. And if he doesn't like you back, now you sad and now I gotta deal with you being sad. And like, I'll be there or whatever, but I just feel like he don't want you. And it was very apparent that he didn't want you. And I didn't have the heart to tell her like, baby, he don't want you. But I kept doing that like sidestep thing. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Also, he might be eating toes or something. He just seems like that type of dude. She was like, I gotta tell him. And I remember that day because I remember thinking, this is so, not weird, but it's just like so serious for some reason. We were in her apartment and we were dyeing our hair. We were both dyeing our hair black that day for some reason. So we're processing as she's texting the guy, and she basically sends him like oh, hey, I like you, something along those lines. And she was sitting on a chair and she was like, hold my hand. Like, she was so nervous to do it. And I was like, oh, this is so sad because he's not worth it. He's so not worth it. But I'm like, okay. So I'm holding her hand and I'm like, I'm there for you, blah, blah, blah. She texts him. She doesn't wait for the response and she goes to wash her hair out. And so she leaves her phone on the like living room table and I saw it flash and I saw sorry from the guy. And I was like, ugh. And it was longer than that, but it was like, it started off with sorry, I don't think. And so I just flipped it over to act like I didn't see anything. Because I was like, I don't want to be the one to tell her like, yo, he don't want you. Even though I already knew that, but I just felt bad. Anyway, long story short, he like turns her down. He's like, I don't think I'm like a good person. That's basically what he said. He was like, I feel like I'm not good for anyone. You seem like a nice person, but I'm just not a good person. And I was like, see, he knows it too. Like, I'm telling you, this dude is weird. And I was like, it's really depressing though. It was really like kind of sad though. And so instead of understanding that he didn't want her, she understood it as like, I want to fix him. Like, she wanted to fix him and be closer to him and stuff. And I was like, no, you're not getting it. He don't want you. And around this time, after she got rejected by this guy, is when she realized that she was now on the board of the organization that he's in. And I was like, ooh, okay, so that's gonna be awkward. I told you don't say nothing. Because I had a feeling that she was at this place where she hadn't let it go yet. Anyway, that's the end of first semester. Second semester comes, right? And that's where everything like hits the fan because I don't have time to do the organization that they're in anymore. I just focus on like my schooling and one other organization I was in. And because of that, I didn't see Karen as much. I still saw her very, very regularly. Like, we had classes together. I still saw her very often. And also this semester is when one of my best friends came back from Korea that I had met freshman year. I'll keep her name out of this because I don't know how she feels about it. I haven't asked her, so I'll call her Jenna. I'll call her Jenna. So Jenna is dope. You know who you are, girl, with your cute self and your cute fits and your cute face. And Jenna is just like one of my favorite people, just like in general, just hilarious. And she's also just really intelligent and just great person. And she ended up being a class with me, Karen, and herself. She ended up being in class with us. That's what I was trying to say. And I thought this was great because Karen didn't know Jenna. I thought they could like get to know each other. They had similar interests in some ways, you know. And I thought it would be dope if we all like got to know each other. But very quickly I noticed that Karen had some animosities, I don't know why I was surprised, towards Jenna for literally no reason other than she was a friend of mine. Like, it wasn't like Jenna was rude to her. She was always smiling, always saying hi, like, how are you? Because Jenna knew that Karen was a friend of mine. So any friend of mine is a friend of Jenna's, basically. Around this time, I was already friends with Jenna, but I was becoming very close to Jenna because we also had another class together. That was our Korean class. That was a freaking mess. That semester was terrible because they had us doing a play. They had us doing a whole bunch of stuff that semester. So in our misery, we got closer to each other, which again, I'm allowed to do. And Karen just felt very uncomfortable with how close I was seeming to be with Jenna, even though I never stopped hanging out with Karen. I kept going over her house. We always had dinner together, but she said, I'm not seeing you enough. That's what she said to me. She was like, you're so hard to contact. And I was like, what are you talking about? Karen had a habit of feeling entitled to my time, and that is one of my biggest pet peeves because we're all students, we're all busy, you know, we're all trying to get stuff done, and just because I can't see you every day like I used to be able to see you doesn't mean I'm any less of your friend. I just got stuff to do. And if I just so happen to see other people, it's because logistically it's easier to see them than it is to see you, but I'm still your friend. You know what I mean? So instead of saying what normal people do, like, hey Kendall, you want to have dinner? She would start texting me, let's have dinner now. And I'm like, no, got homework to do. I'm studying. I had econ that semester. I'm like, I'm studying for econ, studying for stats. I got shit to do. Also, now I got this big project for Korean and stuff. Like, nope. And around this time, she had always done this. And this is another one of my biggest pet peeves. I hate when people come over to my house unannounced because I feel like that's so disrespectful. It's like you ain't got nothing else better to do. You must entertain me because I am me. You must entertain me. It became like I exist and I want to see you. So I must be seen right now. I don't care what you have to do. And I hate that. If you are a pop-up person, we can't be friends because I'm gonna punch you in the face at this point. I've had it happen so much that I'm just like, no. When she felt like she hadn't seen me enough, she would start popping up over my house. And at first I would answer the door. But after a while, I started getting stressed out because I had stuff to do, stopping me from being my most natural person. Sometimes I just want to be in my bed, do homework naked, and I can't because you're here. This entitlement to seeing me is the problem, not the desire to see me because we're friends, right? After a while, I was like, I'm just not gonna answer the door anymore because you're gonna learn to contact me before you come over my house is essentially my mindset. And I didn't want to have the conversation because I'm really passive and that's not good. You should have conversations with people and straight up say, so why do you pop up over my house? That would have been the healthy thing to do, but I did not do that. I'll be the first to admit that was not the best idea. So I was like, hopefully she'll get it that when she comes to my house, nobody's there or I'm not answering the door. So at some point she'll get that she should contact me in advance before coming over. Because it didn't make sense to me because as much as I hung out with them at their apartment, at no point did I ever just pop up over her house. Hey, do you want company? Hey, do you want to do homework together? You know, it was always like a question. It was a very much so like a command when she talked to you. And I was like, we gonna learn today. So that's what I started doing. I had other things to do anyway, so half the time I wasn't there when she would pop up over my house anyway. Or if she came over and did not tell me, or if she told me and said I'm coming over, I just wouldn't answer the text. One of the final straws with this particular thing though was that I was coming out of a meeting and I had another class and she texted me and she's like, where are you? It was just the way it happened, like situational. I was like, I'm coming out of a meeting, I'm about to go to class. And she's like, well, when will you be back? Like to my own door. Later. I get back to my door, she is laying in my bed. Let me illustrate to y'all how bad that is. So the dorm is like this big dorm, right? So people, if you're a U of M student, you can go into this dorm, but you can't go to the room floors, like where people live, unless you have a key or unless you've waited for someone to open the door. So she like waited for someone to open the door, got up to my floor, knocked on the door. I guess my roommate let her in. And when I got there, she was just there. And I was so angry. I was like, who does that? Who does that? That's like literally going into your house and like a random person is just like showering in your shower, just like living there, just chilling. And I was like, that day was the only time. I was roommates with that girl for 2 years and I love you to death. You know who you are and I still love you. But that was the only time we had to have a conversation. I was like, listen, if I'm not here, she's not here. Unless you entertaining her and y'all gotta leave out then. Cause like I got stuff to do and the sheer fact that she felt so entitled to my space and my time that she was sleeping in my bed. Let that sink in. Even my best friends, Claire, y'all know I love me some Claire. Claire, I asked her every time and I knew she wanted to see me because we're like super close, right? But I knew that it was just rude to just be like, I'm coming over, open up, let me sleep in your, you know, that type thing. Let alone break into her apartment essentially and just be sleeping in her bed. I gave her the right to say no because this is her personal space and this is her personal living situation. You know what I mean? You're not entitled to my space, okay? The same way I'm not entitled to yours. So to get back at her, I was like, okay, she gonna sleep in my bed. So one day while I was over her apartment and she went to class, I was like, well, she just sleeping in my bed without permission, so I'm gonna go sleep in her bed because I'm tired and I don't like sleeping on the couch no more. She comes back from her class and she's like, low-key minorly has an aneurysm to see that I'm in her bed. Later that day, she's like, I just have to tell you, I really hate when people are in my bed. Like, I don't even let my mom under my bed. And I was just like, ain't this a bitch? Ain't this some shit? You break into my room, you sleep in my bed. I ask to be into your apartment, and I just happen to be sleeping in your bed. the way you did me. And she's like, yeah, I know it's hypocritical, but I just feel that way. And you notice there's some tics happening. At this point, I'm getting more and more irritated just with this person living around me, just being around me overall. This chick getting on my nerves. So slowly but surely, this is when I decided I can't keep going over their apartment that much for a few reasons. One, because it was uncomfortable sleeping on their couch. Just after a while, you want to sleep in a bed. I was paying for room and board, so I might as well be in my room more often. Also, she was just becoming more and more draining to me every time I saw her. So I was like, you know what? If I would like to keep this friendship going, I should just like back off a little bit, you know, give myself space so I don't snap on her. That little bit more separation was just so uncomfortable for her, so she would start popping up over my place more. What was funny is that she was getting mad at me for not answering the door. Not mad at herself for assuming that I should open my door just because you come by unannounced. Stupid fly. But mad at me for the sheer fact that I desired alone time and wanted to not see anyone. Or see someone I wanted to see right now, because to be honest, I didn't want to see her that bad because she was very draining to me recently. And y'all, man, this is when it started to get like a new level of entitlement to me. Like I said, I started meeting new people, making new friends. And originally, I was still hanging out with her entirely. I was hanging out with her all the time, but she would do things that would like make me not want to see her. Like, just simple as that. One time I was over her apartment, and like I said, I was no longer part of that organization that she was in anymore, and I was in my own organization, and I had to do something for that organization. And because of that, I couldn't go to like some event they had or whatever, because I was doing stuff for the organization I was in. And also I had to practice for this big project that I had for Korean. It was like a play I had to do. That'll become important later as well. So I was practicing for that, and then I went to my meeting, and later that night I saw her, and I brought up how I went to the meeting, and she was like, I thought you said you had to practice for your play. Like, she was so offended. And I was like, I did. And then afterwards, I went to the meeting I always should have went to because I'm on board of that organization. I was a significant part of that organization. And she was like, you're a lying scumbag. You're a bitch and you're this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, you lied to me. You never support me. And then she like slammed the door to her bedroom. She was like, get out of my apartment. And you know what? I would have left, but the pride in me just wouldn't let it go. Did I leave the apartment? I should have left because that would have gave me an excuse to like never talk to her again. But my pride wouldn't let it go. So I stayed the whole night, slept on the couch, woke up in the morning. She went to her first class. She came back. I was still there. I was on my laptop getting work done. Didn't say a word to her. And then she's like, do you want to get breakfast? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm hungry, starving, famished. You know you got a good one, okay? The sheer fact that I've put up with you popping up over my house, sleeping in my bed, calling me a scumbag, blah, blah, blah. Like, looking back on these things, I feel like such an idiot because like I thought I was being a good friend and being supportive when I was actually just making myself miserable more and more every day. She became more and more smothering, just as simple as that. So one of her biggest complaints is that I was so hard to see. Originally, I wasn't. Like, I was with you all the time and hanging out with other people. So in her mind, that meant I was hanging out with these other people in lieu of her, which wasn't the case. I was hanging out with both of y'all at the same time. I'm not dating you. I'm not your man. Like this, like I can hang out with whoever the hell I want to. That's what she started thinking. And then slowly but surely, she was right. It started becoming I was hanging out with these people instead of her because they didn't drive me crazy. They didn't feel entitled to my time. They appreciated me as a friend, and I was coming to realize that I really appreciated them as a friend. They were understanding. Like if we couldn't see each other, they got it because we're all students. Like we have things to do. We have finals to do. Like they got it. And I was like, these people are dope. You know, these are some dope ass kids. I really like these people. They never like said stop being friends with her. They were like, you know what? Think about it. Think about what you want out of a friendship, and if that is what you want, continue, and if you don't, do what's best for you. Like they were there for me, and that really put in perspective that this girl does not feel like I'm her friend. She feels like I am her property, and that became very, very apparent as I could compare and contrast my friendships with this person. So it got to the point that she was actually going into my floor. Again, like I said before, you had to walk into the locked area of my dorm to get to my floor. There was a lobby, like a study lounge actually on each floor of the dorm. That lounge was across from the bathroom, so I went to the bathroom and she's just sitting in the lobby. She's just sitting there waiting. And I'm like, you don't know anybody else that lives here. Why did you come the 15-minute bus ride from your apartment to come study on a closed off area of a dorm, because there were study areas in the dorm that was kind of open to all the students. She went into a closed off part of the dorm that was my floor, that was 2 doors down from where I stayed. That's what I mean. It was so creepy. This bitch is really outside of my door? Is she really just waiting for me to come? Like, it was so creepy. And what I do, I'm the queen of acting like I ain't seeing people. So look at my nails, it's crazy. So I just went to my room and went to sleep, minding my own business. I guess she was there to see if I was hanging out with people that weren't her, or if I was ignoring her, which I was at this point. I just didn't want to see it no more. And then this was around the time that she was mad that I wasn't answering her texts, because like I told you, she used to pop up over my house. So after a while, I just got in the groove of just not looking at her texts in general, because she had a habit of popping up over my house. We see each other and she was like, why don't you answer my texts? I was like, well, I was taking a nap, which was true. I was always taking a nap. What about vibrate? You don't have your phone on vibrate? I was like, what part of asleep don't you understand? And she's like, well, this is really weird. Okay, this is really weird, but kind of funny. She's like, well, when I go to sleep, I sleep with my face on my phone so that I can feel the vibration. Bitch, what? And I remember thinking, well, that just sounds like somebody that's not getting a good sleep. She was like, more and more, why don't you talk to me? Why don't you look at my texts? I was like, did it ever occur to you that it's becoming it's becoming later in the semester, so I don't have time because I'm studying for finals? So I didn't understand why she had this time to stalk me out while I wasn't answering. Aren't you doing your work? Aren't you trying to be great, girl? Like, we all just trying to be great. Why don't you understand that? So it got to the point that she was basically blaming my friends, blaming Jenna specifically, because she was the one that we were all in the class together, if you recall. So she saw her. So she was blaming Jenna specifically for why I don't come around anymore, but just it never occurred to her that it's because you stalking me and you drain me emotionally and physically and just overall just draining. And I found people that don't drain me. And then you're mad at me that I found people that are good to me. That's the thing that I will never understand. Like, this is a quality of people like this, toxic people. They're terrible to you, right? They do weird, inappropriate, inexcusable things, and then when you say, yeah, I'm kind of over it, I'm all right, they stalk you out, or they bash your name, or they make people think that you're a terrible person, instead of just saying maybe there's a reason why they don't want to be friends with me, or better yet, just let it go. Like, life goes on, right? But again, she had that very possessive quality over her friends, and I think it intensified when the guy turned her down, because it got to the point that she was treating me like I was her dude. Like, she got mad at me because I didn't walk her to the bus stop in 2 p.m, broad daylight, and it was in an opposite direction from where I had to go because I had other things to do. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna walk you to the bus stop. I've literally never walked you to the bus stop, and that's in a complete opposite direction of where I need to go. Why would I? And then she like grabbed my arm like I was her dude, like walking like arm in arm like this, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, dude, your legs work. Like, what's the problem? Oh God, it's just so many examples that I don't have time. I'm gonna have to edit this down so bad. Anyway, around this time is when she was trying to turn the other friends that were in like the high school group against me, because I didn't see them either, just because of logistics. Like I said, Maya lived with Karen. So if I like wanted to see Maya, I had to see Karen. I don't feel like dealing with that. Also, I got finals. I'm worried about finals. I'm just trying to pass. I'm just trying to live. I was taking like 17 credits, was killing myself with like not super hard classes, but classes that needed attention, that I just didn't have time to give because I was dealing with these mofos over here. Not these mofo, it's this mofo, just one mofo, but the other people in proxy, because they're being lied to that I'm a terrible person by this person. Karen texts me in the class that has me, Karen, and Jenna in it, and basically I was not talking to anyone. I was doing homework in this class on my computer, and I get a flash on my phone that is sent to the group chat of the high school people I was friends with that basically said, Kendall has new friends. Rolling their eyes like, keep in mind, I was not talking to my friends when I was doing this. I was doing homework, and I was seated in front of her. I turned around, I was just like, what? How old are we? How old are we? We were like 19, 20 at this point. We're grown people, kind of, basically, at this point. And I'm just like, am I in middle school again? What is this? I didn't even have this happen in middle school. What is going on? Time progresses, and it's finals time. crunch time. And if you recall, there's that play I had to do for Korea. It was our final. They wanted us to invite people, but I thought it was embarrassing. I didn't want anybody to come see me act. I don't know, I thought it was weird. I wouldn't want to put anyone through that, so I didn't invite anybody. Also, they're having food there, so I figured the fewer people that come, the more food I could get. All's fair in loving food, bro. So I didn't invite anyone, originally. What happened was, earlier that day, I got a call from another Renaissance friend that isn't a part of this particular group of people, but someone that we all know, that Karen knows, that I know, everybody knows. And she's like, hey, Kendall, what are you up to? I was like, oh, well, I have a play that I have to do for my final in class. If you have nothing else better to do at some point at so-and-so time, then you should stop by. And she was like, oh, I can't make it. I was like, oh, okay, well. We sat there in silence for like an hour. You tore me away from work, tore me away from everything that I had to do. Like I said, this is finals time. And I'm like, and you not gonna talk? We not gonna talk? And I guess I could have started the conversation, but I wasn't going to because she's writing a paper. Like, you literally just invited me here to be mad and just want me to see you mad. I was done. I was over it. Completely over and done. She wanted me to go to her apartment. I'm like, no, I'm going home. I think I saw her one more time before the semester ended because she was doing another fundraiser for her thing, and I was like, well, it's not the people that are refugees and stuff fault that I'm mad at this girl. But I didn't sit near her, didn't talk to her barely at all. Ended up talking to everybody else that was in the organization. Sophomore year ends, and at the summer between sophomore and junior year was the first time I was going to Korea. That was another reason I was stressed out, because I was trying to get everything set for Korea because I didn't have a passport. And I'm thinking over why I am never going to be friends with this girl ever. And I felt bad because I felt like I was losing other friends because of her, like my other Renaissance friends, because undoubtedly I knew she was going to be talking crap about me, blah blah blah. It's like a month before I go to Korea, but it's the end of the semester, so I'm just at home, and she texts me and I was asleep. Again, I like to take naps, so I was taking a nap. When I wake up, I have 2 text messages, and I remember distinctly they were 59 minutes separate from each other. So this girl waited 59 minutes exactly. She waited an hour exactly to text me the second one. The first text was, hey. The second text was, the least you can do is answer. Karen, I do not stay on my phone the way that you do. What do you want? Basically. Kendall, I've seen you on your phone. You're on your phone a lot. When I'm conscious, bitch. Like, what? What does that mean? I've seen you on your phone. And she was like, fine, just enjoy your time in Korea with your new friends. And I was like, and I will. I think she texted me once when I was in Korea, because that was when MERS was going on. So she was basically like, don't get MERS. And I'm like, okay, I don't plan to. Now, junior year, I thought we were in the understanding that we weren't friends anymore. Because in my mind, when I said have a nice summer at the end of our little like passive aggressive argument, I thought she would get it. I thought she got it, but apparently not. Because we ended up being in a lot of mutual stuff together. Like, I don't think we had classes, but we had a fellowship together. And also in this fellowship was Jenna, the girl that she hated because that was the girl that stole me away from her, essentially. And at this point, me and Jenna are super close. And so she sees me hanging out with this girl, a genuinely great time with this girl. And at first, I would ignore her. Like, I actively ignored her. But it got to the point, it's not nice to say this, but it got to the point that I literally forgot she was there. It wasn't me actively ignoring her anymore. Like, I just forgot she was there. It was a Korean related fellowship thing, like a research fellowship. that would look really good on my resume. So that's why it was. Also, I like the people in it, so it was like, eh. And for this fellowship, one thing that they do is a big Chuseok party, Korean Thanksgiving party. And at the end of it, we had to clean up. And they told Karen to go in the back. She's throwing stuff away. I'm holding the door. And these are the first words she says to me since we had our argument, which would have been like a solid 6 months prior to this. A whole 6 months, and we haven't talked like extensively. The first word she says to me is, braid my hair. Like, not a can you. I mean, at that point, even a can you would have been weird because like, we're not friends. We're not friends anymore. Like, what are you doing? Because so-and-so doesn't have enough time to do it, braid my hair. And I was like, I think I was so taken aback that I actually agreed to do it, but I just didn't do it. I was just like, what? Halloween is coming around because Chuseok was early October, so late October, Halloween. A friend of mine, ironically, the other person that's writing crap about me on the internet, was holding a party, and I invited Maya. Maya, again, was Karen's roommate the year before, and I had not talked to her since my falling out with Karen, but I run into her at a Walgreens, and I was like, well, I see her, so I'm gonna say hi. And I was like, hey, Maya, how are you? Like, and she looked taken aback. She was like, oh, hi. Karen had been telling her and all of the other people in the group that I would not talk to them if I ever saw them because I was ignoring her. So I guess she assumed that it was all of us, and it wasn't. I would not talk to them if I saw them. I don't like black people. That's what she said. I don't want to be friends with black people anymore. I only want to be friends with people that are Korean or in the Korean studies major. A few days before the Halloween party, I run into both Karen and Maya on the bus. Karen gets all awkward and doesn't talk to me, which doesn't surprise me. I didn't want to talk to her anyway. And Maya was talking to me. She's like, hey, what's up, Kendall? And I'm like, what's up? How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And we find out that Maya lives right next door to me. And so I'm getting off the bus. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is my stop. And she was like, oh, well, this is my stop too, because she lives next door to me. And Karen pulls where are you going to her? And I was like, you gonna learn today, girl. She gonna start on you. So I leave. I ain't gonna lie, I laughed a little bit out of that bus. I'm like, okay, girl. Halloween party comes around. Maya comes. I felt like this is the first time that me and Maya had the opportunity to talk. I told her everything about her going off on me, about her stalking me, about her popping up over my house, sleeping in my bed, saying that she wanted a dude that was interested in me because she couldn't get her man, her being mad that I was studying instead of occupying her time. One thing that I really wanted to drive home with Maya is that I can see you're still friends with her. I want you to understand something real quick. I am not trying to make you feel differently about her. My whole reason in bringing this up is to let you know why I'm not friends with her anymore. And if you decide to still be friends with her, that's up to you. You are an adult, you know how to make decisions, and I'm not gonna judge you for being friends with her. And if you have events and stuff and you don't know who to invite her. And as I'm saying this, she was like, no, that makes a lot more sense. The things that you say make a lot more sense than the things that she was saying to us about you. Because I'm in class with her right now, and we are doing a project together, and she has been taking my phone, and basically she started to do the same things that she used to do to me to her. Take her phone and try to text me. And Maya found out, and she like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? She was always wondering where she was going and who she was hanging out with, in fear that she was hanging out with me. And she hadn't told her that she came with me to this Halloween party. We talked for a long time. We hug it out. So we would talk and go over each other's apartments and just talk and stuff. And I could tell she was getting more and more agitated with Karen. And I was like, hey, what's going on? She was like, well, we're partners in class, and she's getting more and more agitated with the prospect of us hanging out. I was like, oh, that does not surprise me. It really doesn't, because again, that possessiveness, that like, I own you, like I own you. They're together doing their work or whatever, and Karen was like, so what did you do for Halloween? And Maya was like, oh, I just hung out with some friends, you know. Like, that should have been enough of an answer. Well, who did you hang out with? And she was like, well, I hung out with some people from work, which was true. She had gone somewhere with people from work earlier that day. But where did you go at night? And she was like, if you want to know that bad, because Maya is also like a spitfire more so than I am. Like, she will not put up with the crap that I put up with. She was like, if you want to know so badly, I went with Kendall to so-and-so's Halloween party. And after that, she just stopped talking to her. Like, they were sitting there doing their work, and they had to talk to do the work, but she just stopped talking to her. She told like another mutual friend of ours that she felt so disrespected she dared to still be friends with me after what I had done to her. Maya was just so angry because she was like, I'm a grown-ass woman. You've proven all of her points right now. Basically, long story short, because they couldn't get along, they failed the project, and Maya was so angry because she had to crawl her GPA GPA back up. And basically she was ranting to me. She was like, I'm not messing with her no more, because she over here failing, making me fail because of a person that don't give a crap about what she's doing. Like I said, around this time I forgot she existed. And so now they're no longer friends. Her birthday month comes around. Like I said before, her birthday is in December, early December. She texts me, but she texts me when my phone broke. Now I send my phone in to get fixed, and she texts me to come to her birthday dinner. At this point, we had not been friends for like 8 months, like eight months, maybe even closer to a year at this point. And you're asking me to go to your birthday? Like, I didn't, like, you just running through all your friends and then you just circling back, like, what happened? She texted me, she's like, come to my birthday party. Like a day or so passed, and she was like, well, the least you could have done is answered. And again, I don't have my phone, so I didn't see any of these. And then I get my phone back and I see these text messages, of course, a bunch of them that are super passive aggressive. Oh, I just wanted to bury the hatchet, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, I didn't have my phone, so... ... I think I found the actual text message because I want to give it justice, right? For 2 days, huh? Phone was broken. I sent it to get fixed, but to be honest, I wouldn't have gone anyway. I'm not a fan of going places where I know I will be uncomfortable. I'm sure. Well, I wanted to reconnect with you. It's awkward because you make it so. She's referring to me ignoring her in public places, and it was not awkward for me. Again, I forgot she existed. I honestly think there is a misunderstanding here. I do not want to reconnect. I am not capable of giving you the undivided attention you expect from a friend, and it's unfair to both of us to force it. So we are better off not going down that road again. She says, I do not want your undivided attention, but if you want to drop years of friendship, then that's fine. I hope your life goes well. And I was like, same here. Years of friendship. Yeah, I knew you for years. We weren't friends in high school. I don't know what she's talking about, but anyway. And basically over the course of a few years, a few new weird stuff would happen. She would post stuff on the internet like when you've been replaced. If I like posted pictures with me and my friends for like a good year or two after we stopped being friends, she had a picture of me and her that I did not know we took. We didn't take it, she took it outside as we were waiting for the bus. And it's like a picture of her like this, but I'm like looking off into the distance, like waiting for the bus. Like I had no idea this picture was ever taken, and that's so freaking creepy when you think about it. Posted it as her, like her Instagram, what was that? Profile picture, and it was like that for years after we stopped being friends. Then senior year, so this would have been a solid year and a half, almost 2 years after we stopped being friends, we noticed that she used to look at my live streams, because I used to do live like Instagram streams over Claire's house all the time for my OG streaming people. And she was in there, and another friend of mine texted me while I was on it and was like, Karen's in here. What? Why do you still look at my stuff? And now here we are almost 3 years later. They were mad that I had mentioned her being terrible, and now she's writing stuff about me being a terrible person, and because I dropped her for my Korean friends. Like, no, I dropped you because you were obsessive. You were obsessive. You started acting like I was your boyfriend when that dude dropped you, focusing more on me than your education, which is weird. Like, she acting like I'm handing her booty, like I never gave you nothing. Like, she was very dependent on me. She wouldn't go places without me. She wouldn't do things without me. I don't think this is healthy for either of us. One, I don't like people all up under me like that, and two, you are relying too much on me. And maybe if we aren't friends, it would be healthier for both of us, you know? Whew. So that's the story for the most part of Karen. There are some little mini stories that I kept out because, again, this is getting so long. I guess I'll end the story with this though. Again, I don't hate Karen. I feel like I think it boils down to like an insecurity just overall. Like she feels as though she can't keep friendships. Like she makes them, she can make friendships, can't keep them because she's constantly worried that these other people will find people that are better for them. In doing that, it's a very like self-actualizing thing. You drive people away. Like you can still be friends and not see someone every day. You can still be friends and not need to be constantly validated that they want to know you and want to be friends with you and want to be near you. You can lose friends very, very quickly like that. It's like, it's damaging, it's self-damaging. And when people don't want to be damaged anymore, do you know, because of her stress, I almost failed 2 of my classes that semester. I was like, she's not worth it. She's not worth my education. She's not worth my degree. Just because she falling apart don't mean I have to, you know what I mean? So I was like, no. Moral of this story is a good friend will appreciate that you're doing what's best for you. If they are not happy that you're meeting people that better you, meeting people that make you want to do better, thrive for more, makes you have new experiences, new outlooks on things. If they feel uncomfortable with that, it's because they know they can't give you that and you're finding it somewhere else. And that feeling of inadequacy will drive them into saying that you are replacing them. That whole concept of replacing friends is stupid. Like, you don't have a finite number of friends that you can have. You can have as many friends as you want. And someone that doesn't understand that as well is someone that, again, feels that they're replaceable. Like, for instance, Maya, I'm still friends with her to this day. Like, we're tight because she gets it. I don't see her all the time. I know she has friends that she's closer to than me. That does not bother me. Why? Because they're giving her something that I can't give her, but I know that I have qualities that I can give her and that I'm a good friend to her. You know what I mean? So it's like, you get different things from different people, and someone that doesn't understand that, I could never be friends with. I will say that my biggest problem in being friends with this person is that I never laid the line down, you know? Understanding that there's a line that you're crossing and I'm not telling you where that line is. And I guess that was my bad as well. Do I regret ending the friendship? Hell no. Hell no, not a bit, not a single bit. I just want these people to be better people so that they're better to themselves and better to others, you know? This was a long story. I'm tired now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your toxic friendship stories down in the comment section, because I know y'all have had some, because y'all have been DMing me. Maybe they can help some people. That's all for today, kids. Whew. I'll see you next time.